Welcome to the Mighty Decibel's 21st entry into its Discography review series. This episode, we focus our attention on Canadian speed metal legends Exciter. With 11 albums in the band's discography and lots of band member turbulence over their career, there's lots to cover here, so let's get her revved up but quick. Before we begin, though, some house cleaning. As usual, we will attack this chronologically, focusing solely on studio albums. No live or compilation releases will be included, and we'll include song snippets from each release to show the change in sound over the years. Born in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada's capital city, in 1978, Exciter was one of the pioneering bands in speed metal. On drums and banshee lead vocals was Dan Beeler, Alan Johnson on bass, and John Rizzi on guitar. They first gained notoriety through their World War III track on the US Metal Volume 2 compilation album from 1982, Shrapnel soon thereafter scooping them up on their roster. The band quickly produced a demo for their debut album, anticipating that they go into the studio to put the album on tape properly. Shrapnel, however, were blown away by the demo and decided that it should be issued as is. Thus, Heavy Metal Maniac was issued to an unsuspecting metal world in 1983. So what Headbangers were met with was no less than the next elevation in metal, taking elements of Priest and Sabbath and injecting it with youthful enthusiasm and a love of intense speed. Speed metal proper was thus born, with apologies to Raven. Heavy-ass riffing, high-pitched screams from beyond vocals, unrelenting speed, and head removal over-the-top lead guitar salvos introduced the metal world to an upratching of what metal could be. So you maybe think that this is a lot of hyperbole, but I believe that this is one of the greatest metal albums of all time, and certainly is speed metal's crown jewel, bar none. Every track belongs on your speed metal playlist, but if I was forced to pick highlights, I'd point to opener Stand Up and Fight, Under Attack, and Cry of the Banshee, each examples of blitzkrieg violence and force. So one of the top 20 metal albums of all time, in my opinion, a beyond classic introduction to the joys of speed metal. Buy or die, as they say. Of course, this is a 10 out of 10. The Ottawan Bad Boys didn't rest on their laurels for long, as one short year later, in 1984, out came the sophomore Violence and Force. Very much a continuation of what the debut provided, and still cherished to this day by your fearless reviewer because of it. Exciter were only too happy to satiate the need for speed crowd that was being formed around the metal world. The record is opened by a short, over-the-top guitar shred from Rizzi before the legendary title track springs forth in all its velocity, still causing punters to sing along at live Exciter shows to this very day. Midway through side one, the band throw a curveball at us with a fully fledged mid-paced headbanger called Pounding Metal that proved the band can work at different velocities if they so choose. Additionally, they include two epic 6-minute tracks on side 2, once again displaying their songwriting prowess and growth. And oh yeah, Rizzi's lead guitar work on this thing is next level over-the-top killer shit. That said, I gotta note that the sound isn't as heavy as on the debut, being a tad more muddled to these ears, and the overall track-by-track comparison to the debut proves not to be quite as strong. But don't misunderstand though, Exciter were heads and tails above the competition at this point, and Violence and Force is still a required inclusion in any speed metal fan's record collection. Another 10 out of 10 on my scorecard. Keeping up the pace, the band hit the public with album number 3, Long Live the Loud, a year later in 1985. As had become the norm, a short instrumental opens proceedings, once again setting the stage for yet another top-notch head remover of an album opener, this time in the form of the title track. So definitely in the same vein as the title track from the previous album, this has become a staple of the Exciter set list to this day, and rightly so. Classic Exciter. That's followed by a harried I Am the Beast, almost reaching into hardcore punk territory in its simplistic ferocity. Another excellent head removal ditty. Side 1 is then completed by 2 more memorable tracks that displayed Exciter's total grasp of the speed metal subgenre and the crown that it held at the time. Another top-notch side of Exciter-styled speed metal. With respect to sound, this is much heavier than the previous Violence and Force, thanks to a Guy Bidmead of Motorhead fame production job. Flip the record over and we're met with Sudden Impact, one of the album's high points, riding on a triumphant heads-high riff that kills. So that's followed by the first slight misstep in the Exciter discography, as the final 15 minutes of side 2 are made up of 2 epic tracks that are in the main too slow and overlong. Both are definitely the weakest tracks of the Exciter discography to that date, albeit not necessarily bad, just not up to the caliber of songs that came before them. As a side note, Feel the Knife, a track recorded during the same Long Live the Loud sessions, was eminently superior to the last 2 tracks, so it's not clear why it wasn't included on the album proper. So reaction to Long Live Loud was somewhat muted compared to the previous 2 records, some citing it as being less speed metal and more mainstream, while some pointed to a lack of growth in sound. This reviewer, however, believes that really what was happening was a backlash against speed metal at the time, with the recent bursts of both thrash and black metal. Speed metal now considered to be too simplistic and passé, a perception problem the subgenre still has to this day, in my opinion. Regardless, this was yet another strong outing for the speed metal kings, despite a slight drop in overall songwriting strength. Nobody else in the subgenre delivered with the same ferocity as the Canadian threesome. I give this a 9 out of 10. And so the golden years ended. Guitarist John Rizzi leaving the fold, replaced by Brian McPhee on guitar 1 year later in 1986 for the Unveiling the Wicked record. I remember looking at the song titles even before listening to this. Worries started to form at such banal song titles as I Hate School Rules and Shout It Out. Was Exciter about to turn to mainstream metal? Well, not exactly. Here, the Ottawa unit switched to a more trad metal approach on the whole, up-ratcheted compared to most units of the genre by Beeler's patented Shriek Vox. There are 2 exceptions, though. I Hate School Rules, predictably being a hair metal ditty completely with suitably puke-worthy lyrics, and Live Fast, Die Young, dipping its toes into some fairly toothless speed metal. So Unveiling the Wicked represents a drastic change in sound, which had the old school fans like me running for the exits but quick. That was not what I signed up for from the band. Where was the speed? Where was the violence and force? The loss of Rizzi really stands out here, as the songwriting is nothing like the Exciter of old, and his over-the-top guitar style is also sorely missed. As a result of this travesty of a record, the speed metal crown was ingloriously torn from their grasp after producing 3 of the best records in the history of the subgenre. As a side note, the current touring version of Exciter ignore this album in their live sets for good reason. Stay well clear if you're looking for some speed metal. I give this a 5 out of 10. 2 years hence, in 1988, the band bring in Rob Malnati to take on the lead vocal role, freeing up Beeler to concentrate on drumming. Although the latter's Banshee Wail does show up intermittently throughout the opener, Scream Bloody Murder, which also happens to be the best track on the album. Malnati's vocals aren't that far removed from Beeler's high-pitched approach, so he slides in adequately here, no problem necessarily with his performance. So okay, let's start with positive. Firstly, the band sound like they have a pulse here compared to the dead-on arrival unveiling the Wicked record. This is due to two things: better songwriting and a superior production job. Hell, there are even 2 speed metal tracks offered to try and appease the old school fans. But let's not get too carried away here. This comes nowhere near the dead center speed metal attack of the first 3 records. Rather, this version of Exciter takes on a more commercial approach, coming across similar to Accept and Van Halen in places. And of course, they couldn't resist putting out another banal hair metal ditty in the form of Ready to Rock, squatting in the same headspace as the previous album's I Hate School Rules, Unforgivable. So yeah, an improvement from the previous record, but still not a great album, and certainly nowhere near the caliber of the first trio of records. 6 out of 10. The self-titled release was met with such critical disdain that, as far as my research could tell, the band didn't even tour the album, the band being idle that whole year. Predictably, nothing was heard from the band until 4 years later in 1992, when out came Kill After Kill, the band's 6th full-length. Unfortunately, out was founding member and bassist Alan Johnson, replaced here by David Ledden. However, lo and behold, back in the all-important guitar slot was another founding member, John Rizzi. With Beeler back at the mic and drumming, the band was back to being a 3-piece. So the all-important question arose: do these changes signal that Exciter was returning to their speed metal roots? In 2 words, fuck yeah. No shitting you when I say that Kill After Kill not only shits all over the previous 2 lame records, it's actually better than Long Live the Loud, even coming close to challenging Heavy Metal Maniac and Violence and Force as being the band's very best. So fully 6 of the 9 tracks here are A1 Rip You a New Asshole speed metal impalers that absolutely kill in its intensity, velocity, and intent to injure. Fucking incredible. And 2 of the other 3 tracks are mid-tempo heavy headbangers a la Violence and Force's Pounding Metal, while the other ditty comes across similar to Long Live the Loud's Born to Die in its building momentum and furious conclusion. So it's obvious that John Rizzi's return was the catalyst for this return to form. His songwriting skills and over-the-top guitar shredding sorely missed over the previous 7 years. While I continue to rave about this record, even old-school Exciter fans seem to ignore this platter for some reason. All I can say to all you speed metal fans out there is, if you dig the band's first 2 records, you're going to love this one as well. Criminally underrated, 9 out of 10.
Down, down the ground.
The band toured the Kill After Kill record and smartly issued a live document from that tour called Better Live Than Dead. Fantastic live record of speed metal hell, by the way. Check it out. However, all went silent again in the Exciter camp until 5 years later when the Dark Command was issued in 1997. The good news here is that John Rizzi is at the all-important guitar writer slot, but unfortunately is the only original member, as Jacques Belanger is inserted at the mic with a new bassist and drummer, making this new version a four-piece. Get past the truly horrible and cheap-looking album cover, and what you'll find is a continuation of the Kill After Kill record. Rizzi's songwriting continuing to be focused on the return to the band's speed metal roots. Fully 7 of the 10 tracks offered here are solidly entrenched in the old-school high-speed Exciter approach. The title track opener, Assassins in Rage, and closer, Screams from the Gallows, being the cream of the crop. Additionally, Rizzi delves in mid-tempo stomp and epic song structures on the other ditties, bringing some variety to the package, similar to the last album. And oh yeah, Rizzi's guitar soloing is truly over the top, as you'd expect, worth the price of admission alone. On the negative side, some of the speed metal tracks seem a little underbaked, the rhythmic fury there, but the chorus sections being a little too simple with generic team shout backing vox. Additionally, Belanger's vocals are ear-piercing and very much in the Beeler tradition, but with a more Halfordian bent to the delivery. So definitely a good fit for the band, but I still would prefer Beeler back at his post, if truth be told. That said, overall, this is still a strong record, solidifying Rizzi's status as the most important member for those who yearn for the original Exciter sound. Remember that the 2 albums without Rizzi found the band delving outside the speed metal milieu. Give this a 7.5. Hence, in 2000, out comes Blood of Tyrants. At first blush, one could say that Blood of Tyrants is simply the Dark Command Part 2, given that the Rizzi-Belanger tandem is retained and there is no major change in sound. However, delve deeper and a few things jump out. This one definitely has an overall higher velocity to it, 90% of this blistering the ears in speed metal fury. You want to ruin your neck? Listen to this. Additionally, the band seems to have spent more time on writing, the choruses not being as simple-minded and the riffs being a little more varied. Further, Belanger's vocals are a little less abrasive to the ears as well, working with the tracks rather than overwhelming them like the last outing. So overall, a slight improvement over the last outing, making for a very good speed metal album to be added to your list if you're so inclined. Fave tracks: Rule with an Iron Fist, Violator, Brutal Warning, and the instrumental War Cry. I give this an 8 out of 10. Minimal action on the live front resulted from Blood of the Tyrants, and vocalist Belanger ended up leaving for good in 2006 due to, quote, differences of opinion. Kenny Metalmouth Winter assumed the duties at the mic in late 2006 with Thrash Speed Burn finally seeing the light of day in 2008, a full 8 years after the previous release. With respect to the all-important vocalist slot, Winter slides in easily here, able to hit the ball-squeezing highs that Beeler and Boulanger employed, but also had some trad metal growl and melody in his toolbox. Overall, a less hysterical approach at the mic compared to Boulanger. Good stuff, but again, I still long for the return of Beeler in the vocalist spot. Love the production here, this reminding me of the sound on the monumental Kill After Kill record. Great warm mix, really allowing the rhythmic fury to stand out when the band hits all cylinders. That said, the overall strength of song is down a notch compared to Blood of Tyrants. While there are a number of great tracks, there are also a number that seemed a little half-baked again. So overall, a slight decline in quality, but check out In Mortal Fear, Demon's Gate, and the title track for some prime-time exciter. I'll give this a 7. A relatively short 2 years later, the Reetzy winter version of Exciter returned to action with Death Machine in 2010. I gotta admit that this Exciter fanatic didn't really give this album a fair shake at the time of its issuance, because when I've revisited it as part of prepping for this discography, I was blown away. So much so I immediately purchased the vinyl version to add to my collection. So this is so good that it actually approaches Kill After Kill in the discography comparisons. Why, you may ask? Because the songwriting is on point once again, and the intense speed metal that we crave is delivered here in abundance. Hell, there's only one track that isn't A1 Exciter, that being Side B's Demented Prisoners. Otherwise, it's blow back your hair velocity throughout. As a bonus, the final track, Skullbreaker, includes a hidden guitar solo track where Reetzy gets to display his over-the-top playing skills and absolutely face-melting 2 minutes of guitar histrionics. So no question that this is the best of the non-Beeler records, an excellent example of intense speed metal done right. Too bad the world decided to ignore its magnificence, the band dissolving after its release. This warrants a 9 out of 10 on my scorecard. Subsequent to the release of Death Machine, the original Exciter reformed in 2014 to much warranted fanfare. Lots of touring ensued with talk of a new album often brought up, but unfortunately things fell apart in 2018 before a new release was issued. While bassist Alan Johnson claimed that Reetzy retired from music, there was always some question marks around the whole breakup. The guitarist has recently announced that he has created a new band called Powerage, with plans to create a demo and tour the unit. Meanwhile, Johnson and Beeler have kept the Exciter name going by adding guitarist Daniel DK. Again, much touring has ensued with promises of a new album, but nothing coming to fruition as of yet. Given the track record of the Exciter records without Ritzy, personally, I'm looking forward more to the Powerage release than a new Exciter outing. I guess I'm a Ritzy guy. So that's it. Thanks for joining us on this ride through the 10-record discography of Canadian speed metal legends Exciter. Remember to check in every Monday for our new release Mondays. Tuesdays, we have our curated playlists in 40 minutes. Wednesdays and Thursdays, we have our written album or live reviews, and we throw in the best of top 10s, discography reviews, that sort of thing. You know where to go, www.themightydecibel.com. Have a great one, eh?